All right. Lead in. 1, 2, 3. Oh, crap. What was it? Forgot. I was going to say hello, 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 everyone. I was like, that's bad. That's bad. I forgot my own intro.
At least you didn't come in and be like, "Oh, heroclix community, don't you dare be sour. Clap your hands for the world's most renowned heroclix podcast and feel the power." Like, the
positivity.
I get up from the ground, from the man from is keeping it down, and it's time to decide on the action that will force the time. And I feel that I can win, unless I'm starting to spin, starting over once again.
Welcome to the Starting Over podcast. I'm your host, Edward Shelton, and this is a.k.a. Dark Logos, and this is a show where we talk about the strategies, tactics, and mechanics behind the game of heroclix. It's been a long time since I've had a guest on this show. On other shows, I've had guests, and I've been a guest on other shows, but on this show, I haven't had a guest in, dang it, a couple of years. Wow. So feel good, Will. I have Big Will Holland from the heroclix community on the show. Now, you might be wondering, why is Will Holland on Starting Over podcast? Well, Will Holland is a friend of mine I've known for several years, and what's funny is that he was a super fan of Push to Regen, and I was like, daggone it, I want him as a super fan, and so I ended up getting an email from him one day, and we just went back and forth, and then we ended up talking, and so we've been friends since. Today we're going to talk about something that happened to Will, and I brought up this, I think last year, an allegory of a player that, made his own tech and went out of town and beat some people and, had fun, but he developed as a player. And that was Mr. Will Holland using his, what team was that?
It was just, to be honest, it was just a shield team. I was mainly building something around Nick Fury. I knew Nick Fury was good, but I wanted to have something that was just a little bit more fun, not as really, quote, meta as a lot of Nick Fury teams would have, but just something that was really cool and different.
Yeah, and you also played the Justice League Elite team.
I played, yeah, that was at the Winamap over in Bay City.
But yeah, you also played a version of that at the same venue that you're about to tell that story. And so he had this awesome story that he told me. And so the prerequisite of this story is that previously he had gone to visit his mom, played heroclix at a local venue, where, like many places, they played heroclix wrong by not doing the rules properly. He shows them that there is life outside of their solar system, and proceeds to put up a very interesting fight, so much so that people quit and walk away from games. And so time progresses, and we pick up with our hero, Will Holland, as he gets contact from that other pocket dimension. So go ahead and tell them what you were telling me.
Okay, so basically what happened was I spoke with one of the people. It was a husband and wife duo that they played, and the husband played more so than the wife did, but the wife was just like, I build teams, and, we don't play competitively, but we just play because we like to play the game. It's like, okay. So the husband had a Slathern team and Leatherhead, I believe, from Pacific Rim. 600 point, anything goes tournament pretty much. So I played my shield team. It was literally, I had no resources, no relics, just shield people with Nick Fury. Nick Fury was my main piece, and I took out his Slather like a couple of turns. I had a character on the team who had Pulse Wave, and so he did not understand that Pulse Wave, whenever Pulse Wave goes off, it ignores all the powers, including the team ability that the Kaiju have. That basically is Mystics. But the thing was is that even though I lost that match, I went 3-1, and he was the one that beat me. He got up to the table in almost a screaming fit, throwing figures all around, mad. He was like, nobody's ever beaten this team. Nobody's even come close to beating this team. Like, nobody made me work that hard with this team to do anything, ever. I don't even know why I'm playing this game. And just kind of storms out. Well, of course, his wife goes out, and talks to him, calms him down. He comes back in, and he's all like, oh, I'm okay. It's just I've never been through something like this before. And I'm sitting there looking at him going, this is a team I'm playing for fun, man. I don't understand why you're freaking out. And you beat me. Like, okay, good job, man. Good game. And he just didn't understand that concept. Well, then fast forward to a couple of days ago, and I just, randomly ran into this person on this Cat is her nickname, and ran into her on Facebook. It was just like, hey, how's the heroclix community growing down there? I said, we don't know. We stopped playing. Like, well, why did you stop playing? Is everything going okay? Is the store doing all right? Oh, yeah, the store's doing fine. We're doing great. We're playing Dice Masters. Like, okay, so why aren't you playing heroclix anymore? Well, in our area, we were pretty much the best we had. And we thought we were doing really well until you came through town. And when you came through town, they pretty much showed us there were a lot better players out there than us. And so we just decided it was better that we put our time on some other game that we could enjoy playing. And so we decided we were going to play Dice Masters instead.
Yeah. So the moment that I heard this, I'm going to be real with everyone. I laughed. I laugh really hard. This is the first time in all my years of playing that I've taught someone or worked with someone that has made another person rage quit the game. Never have had it happen ever before in my history of playing this game or helping people play better at or be better at this game. Like, let alone a whole venue sort of rage quitting. And if you hear the story, like, he didn't just come through with a bunch of like meta cheese and just like, hey, here we go. I bring my Quinjet with my 2 Ultron drones and I summon the hordes of the Justice League on top of you. Like,
which I did own a Quinjet, and I do own a Quinjet, but then I did not bring it. I was just like, I just want to try to have a team and have fun.
Yeah, and it sort of shows you, like, when I tell people about, like, persona fatigue, that's what happened. This guy went through and sort of realized that this persona that he built up of himself of being this great heroclix player, quote unquote, really was not true when you start looking at a broader scope of things, that he really was a weak player. One thing with the Kaiju in particular is they're not that difficult. They're not that deep either in terms of what you have to know about them, but they're not that difficult to play, but they're really strong. And if you're forced, to backpedal playing Kaiju, I'm sorry. Like, you set yourself up. You only you can hear the team. There's only 2 figures. There's not that much diversity. But the fact that no one had been able to challenge, a 2-figure team previously. And then didn't you tell me, like, he tried to say he could resurrect Slattern?
He wanted to do the effect with Slattern where you could do the resurrection with Slattern, and I explained to him, I was like, you're not playing her at the 600-point level, you can't resurrect her. You only can resurrect her if you play at the 600-point level, but if you were playing at the 600-point level, that's the only figure you have on your team. And he also tried to tell me that when I pulse waved Slattern, I think I pulse waved, I perplexed up or something like that, and got a perplexed of the pulse wave. I don't remember who the figure was. I just know they had the shield keyword. But I did a pulse wave for 4. And he was like, well, it takes Mystic Feet. I said, no, it doesn't. It takes the time you get the team ability. I understand what the team ability says. But I pulse waved. Well, yeah, it doesn't matter. You attack. You're right. I did attack with Pulse Wave. It negates all powers and abilities unless it says that team ability cannot be ignored, which it doesn't. It can be ignored with this Pulse Wave attack. So that's what's about to happen. You're going to take 4 to the face, and I'm not taking anything. And I think there was that. And then another thing that he didn't understand was charge. He tried to do a full move charge. I'm like, I don't think that Leatherhead has a full move charge. So who has charge? I said, yeah, it's half his movement. His movement is like 11. So you cut it in half and round up. Okay, so 11, you do 10. So, okay, 10 is 5, plus you're rounding up to 6. So you got 6 movements to get in contact with me and be able to hit me from 2 away with a colossal character. And he was like, but that's not what I was told. So I was like, okay, I can show you a charge right here on the pack. That's literally what I did. I pulled the pack out. I was like, okay, here's charge. Read it. What does it say? You give this character power action, okay, and you move them up to half its total movement, right? Okay, so half of 11 would be what? It's like 5.5. I said, okay, so you round up to 6. Can you get within 6 squares of me right there? He's like, no. I said, okay, then you cannot perform charge. You can base them. You can set up for your next attack, but you cannot charge me from that distance away.
No.
So it's literally like I was having to educate on basics of the game while I'm there. And so my hope was, I'm sitting there going, wow, okay, I'm hoping, as I'm doing this, I'm like, okay, maybe people will sit there and go, okay, hey, we can get better, we can play better. We got people that come in and shark us because they'll come in and tell us all this stuff that's not accurate. Now we know somebody who knows the rules. Worst case scenario, we've got communication with him because we've got him on Facebook. We can ask him questions. He can help us out. But that's not what happened. Mm-hmm. Which I was a little bit more disappointed about what happened because it's like I'm always trying to help people be better. I mean, I wouldn't call myself a master of anything, but I'm just trying to learn and get better as a player. Even when I've gone through my own defeats, that's kind of what's motivated me to try to become a better player is, okay, this happened. Okay, what can I do to be better?
Yeah. And so, and this is one of those things where I think a lot of people have these splits in their community where there are people that if they don't come in and curb stomp every week, then they quit the game. Because it's like, it's difficult. I have to work. I can't automatically win. And even with some people that I've worked with in the past, have folks like that at their venues where they just are winning because, the people that they're trying to play against are winning, primarily just because they buy a lot of expensive stuff. And then I start to show them, I'm like, here, if you go into these fundamentals here, you go into these team building basics here, you can overcome, the more expensive clicks. And I've seen it where people's number 1s and number 2s in the venue start losing. And then they become uncertain. And then as they start to lose more and more, eventually they stop playing the game. Because their mindset and their ego is built off of being a winner and being number 1, not being challenged or let alone being good at the game. And that's one thing in particular in which I've noticed in some players as time progresses, that they'll have a bunch of quick, rise to fame wins, and then they'll poof, disappear. One thing in particular that I can tell when a player is, I don't necessarily want to use the word weak, but tends to lean on the dark side stuff too often or too hard, is when they try to do things like, oh, I'm going to hide the fact that there's elevation here with my figure. It's like I'm making, so you can't know that there's elevation here, or I'm going to, actually, use beads to count my actions, but I'm going to put poker chips down too. Like right. things that are there to throw you off so you don't know what actually, is going on. And that's usually when I could tell is like this person's desperate to win. Not necessarily they believe they're capable of winning, but they're desperate for that win. And for a person that's been through that, not necessarily the cheat to win or being lame to win, but sort of desperate to win. After you get that win, you're sort of stuck for like that brief moment of like I won, and then you're fiending for the next win, and then the pressure is like, oh, I have to win this next one, or else everyone's going to think I'm a fake and a phony, or that I was, I just got lucky, and that does happen. But how much you take stock in that, is a whole different subject. Like the guy quits in Will's story, the whole venue quits, and they could have easily just gotten together and, started looking up, things on Realms or things on YouTube, or just Google, about heroclix. You could find stuff. You could stumble upon, a good podcast that would help you out, or even like a blog or something, that would make you a better player.
And the funny thing about that is that after I came with my team initially, the first person I played was playing the Yu-Gi-Oh pieces. And we started turn one. He moved. We played on, I think it was the Trinity War House of Mystery map. And so, we played round one. He moved his figures. I moved my figures. I already knew what I wanted to do. I already knew what I wanted to take out. I knew, okay, he had a Dark Magician. Okay, well, right off the bat, we're going to take out a Shape Change. That way it would Nick Fury and then have them proceed to wail on him. I think my team had maybe 8 people. His team had a total of 3. So just all along, so attrition, out-actioning was going to be my key. Well, all of a sudden, he picks his phone up out of his pocket, grabs it, looks at it, puts it down on the table, picks it back up again, and goes, oh, man, I got to go, man. My mom just called me. I'm like, okay, I didn't hear a phone ring. I didn't hear a vibration. Nothing. But okay, if you got to go, you got to go. And then as he's packing his stuff up, he looks at me and goes, yeah, man, you probably would have beat me anyway. Just walks off. I have already went through my second match at this point with the guy who ended up throwing a fit. And another dude walks in with a box full of heroclix. He's all like, so you're the guy I heard about. I'm like, what are you talking about? The guy you heard about. I have a name, dude. Hi, I'm Will. Nice to meet you. And he's like, well, hey, yeah, my buddy just called me. He told me some dude came down here from Texas and was just whooping everybody and just making people mad. I was like, okay, not really my intent. I just like playing heroclix, but okay, sure, whatever. He's like, well, we could play meta if we wanted to, but we just don't play that kind of stuff. We just don't feel like it's friendly. Like, okay, well, I didn't realize that coming in. I don't apologize for it. I play the way I play. For me, this isn't meta. Like, this that I'm playing isn't really meta. Yes, there's a meta piece on the team, but I'm not even in that mindset. I'm just playing a game of heroclix. And so a few minutes go by, and he's like, oh, no big deal, don't worry about it. And then he comes back and opens his box up. He's like, so, hey, man, you interested in trading that Nick Fury away? If anything, I got a whole bunch of stuff here. I got some giants and stuff. I got some colossals. Like, nah, dude, I'm good. Like, I've got a brimstone already. I'm good. Nah. Not interested in trading. I think we talked about that back then because the thing was, it seemed like he was almost coming at me trying to shame me for playing.
Yeah.
But then he immediately wanted to take away what he deduced was one of the best pieces on my team. And here's the funniest part. He shouted you out. He was like, there's a podcast I listened to on, I think it's Starting Over, or something like that, starting something on YouTube. I say, yeah, I listen to that show pretty regularly myself. The Edward Shelton. Yeah, man, I think he's a really good player. He seems to know his stuff. I said, yeah, we talk on the regular. He really does know his stuff. He's like, wait, you talk to that guy? Yeah, at least once a week. Like, yeah. Y'all have conversations over the phone. I was like, yeah.
Yeah.
like for real. I was like, yes. He's like, I don't believe you. I pulled my phone out. I pulled up your number. I said, you call him. If he doesn't answer, you'll get the voicemail. He goes, oh my gosh. Okay, okay. I'm so sorry, man. Like, I came at you like I did.
It's
Like,
so
I was
fun.
just,
It's like you invoke the name. It's like I'm the big boss. It's like, you represent Big Boss? I'm sorry. I didn't mean it.
I was unaware.
I was
I was unaware I was among master people here. I apologize.
But I say that jokingly, tongue in cheek. But the thing that I try to sort of come back to the listener is like, hey, people, when you start getting good and you start developing, there will be this shame mechanic that people will throw at you. And you sort of just have to shake it off. It's like, you are not thinking, you are not creative, you're this and that. Even when you are. Even when you are working with things that are like, oh yeah, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do that. Things that are obvious, like, oh, okay, I'm gonna work with this piece because it's good. This is my, starting point. One time I was having a great conversation with Kevin Afruz off the air, and he said this to me. He's like, Edward, the reason why a lot of people lose in The Rock is that they take really good teams and then make tweaks on really good teams on things and areas that didn't need tweaking, just so that they wouldn't be called a clone.
Right.
And there's some things it's like, yeah, it's obvious. If you're going to play Krang, you're going to play Justin Zephyr.
Right.
Don't try to be like, I'm not going to play Justin Zephyr. I'm going to play 3, Baxter Stockmans instead. No, just.
And why would you do that?
Why? Yeah, like why? Like, I like 2 attacks,
Yeah.
even with damage depletion modifier. I like 2 attacks.
Exactly. Because you can always overcome the depletion modifier through perplex.
Or heck, even picking super strength and charging with a heavy, or with light or whatever. Like, there's things that you can do, but a lot of times, like I said, it's just people wrap too much of themselves into the game. Like, they identify themselves as a person that wins in this game, and if they're not winning in this game, then they don't have a basis of personhood. And so, anyway, like, the other reason I was going to bring Will on, because Will's one of those people, like I talked about, like, you're going down your path of mastery and your path of development. And so I've been working with Will on that, like, on the side for a while now. And he went to win a map, did pretty well. And then you went to, what was it, Comic Palooza?
Comic Palooza, went to the Super Q at Comic Palooza and placed ninth.
Yeah. And that's way better than, like, your first Super Q, right?
Which was, like, I think 29 out of 30.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Yeah. And so, like, there's that process, where you go through and you play a lot of different people. You even did, like, a win a map, and I think Paris Jordan was there, and a couple other Ragnarok people.
Yeah. I think part of the deal with the Ragnarok situation was I think there were a few of them that came out late, and so they ended up losing the first round. And so by 11:30, I think they were cutting the top 4, and so I think that's what bumped a lot of people out. And I was fortunate enough through some good play and getting through a Super Scroll. First time I played that winner map taught me how to play against a Super Scroll, because I never faced a Super Scroll before, because nobody at my local venue has one. So I never faced one, much less a skilled player that could play it. And I faced the first one, and we're talking about literally 3 crit 6s in that game. And one of them was Mary Marvel with an Ultra Heavy hitting the Super Scroll right after, I don't know who he had hit. I think he hit Harley, but he didn't kill her. Mm-hmm. And so he had the 1 food token. So I did the Harley Quinn Pulse Wave. Locked. Pulse Wave everybody. He got hit and then died and then came back on his last click, and then Mary Marvel just crit 6'd on him. That was the one time I really didn't need a crit 6, but I got it. So it's just like, and he was dead, and then he's super dead.
Yeah.
So.
But yeah, like even, through all that, like at no point in time did you say like, I didn't get first place to this win map. I think I should be done with heroclix.
No. That's no. I have I had some rough times in heroclix? Yes. Have I had some rough games? Yes. Will I have more rough games as time gets on? I'm sure I probably will. But at the end of the day, if I leave the game, it's going to be for other reasons other than because I had a tough game. It's going to be, look, I really got to start looking at different finances and resources and things like that and really start placing some things in other places. It's not just going to be, I had a sucky game. Mm-hmm. I mean, in my locals, I think I went a whole month where I'm pretty sure a bunch of Aunt Maypox could have killed me. I couldn't roll over a 3 for a month. I don't know how that happens statistically, but it did for me. And people were just like, oh, my gosh, she's had about a bad month of rolling 3s. And then when I came back, boy, did I unleash unholy happiness all over the place. One of the greatest feelings of my life, I tell you.
Gosh. But yeah, I mean, I know that feeling too, from not being able to roll or hit and then come back and be like, yes, finally, I'm free to do my plans again.
My plans work now.
Yeah. But yeah, I mean, I know what it's like coming back from a run of not being able to hit and then just be like, yes, all my plans work out really great. I would say, like, right now, the question I think a lot of people are going through, their mind is like, what does it take to, like, even start from the beginning to even get to the point where you're trying to beat, some of these, like, more consistent players, or even more so, what does it take to get to a point where you're able to be in a top 16 at a decent sized tournament from the beginning. Because I could say, like, hey, I started that process about 2 years ago, and
right.
About 2.5 years ago. Sorry, 2.5 years ago. And some people would say, like, what's different between, like when I started, trying to get better during, the George Massue, Daniel Joins, Alex Avila era versus the Patrick Yapago, Paris Jordan era. It's a bit different. So what is it like trying to get into meta play now? Like, what do you feel is some of those things that stand out that you have to be proficient at?
I think the first thing you have to do is, as soon as you start seeing figures for a set come out, ask yourself one very important question, and it may take a while to get that answer to it. But ask this question: out of what's new, out of what's coming out right now, what will that work with to do? What kind of synergy do these pieces have with other pieces that are already out there? Really for me, that's one of the first things I do. I go on Realms. I'm looking at dials. I'm checking things out. Not only checking out what people are saying about the figures, but also what the official reviews say. Because when Iceman came out, I don't remember if Iceman got an official preview or not. But I know when I saw that dial, I said, wait a minute, he can move and do what? Mm-hmm. And he can do, okay, if he can do this and he can do that, he stops people from doing things for a turn. So that's anything. That's a team base. That's a Quinjet. That's whatever. Okay, can it be broken brutal? Well, not by itself, but if you tack on these things, it can be better. Another thing is you may have to leave the herd. I play with guys in my locals. I love them to death. They're great guys. To be honest, when I started playing more competitively, they literally was just, like, I went from having, I think it was 4 or 5 people that were going to go play in the first big rock. We were going to go as a group. We were going to do all this stuff. We were going to be able to compare notes. We were going to talk. And it dwindled down to me. And so I had to make a decision. I was like, am I going to go? Am I going to go? Because now whereas I was originally going to be, you know, this team of us going to take on the world, see what we could do, to me. And I was like, you know what? I'm gone. Like, I'm already, like, I may get dusted, but I'm going. Because if this is the way, if this is what it's going to take for me to become better, even in a loss, and I don't want to use a Dragon Ball Z reference, but I'm going to. You know, in Dragon Ball Z, the concept of the Saiyans was that even in their lost battles, they gain something from it. You know, when they're near death and they're getting whooped real bad or whatever, they come back stronger physically as a result of going through that near-life death experience. Well, that first super cure I went to was my near-death experience at heroclix. And it was horrible. Like, I mean, it was like a lamb being led to slaughter, but I stood the fight. I didn't get down. I didn't sit there and beat myself up. I was like, okay, I won that one. I lost these two. I lost this next one. Okay, what did I learn? You know, we went 8, and everybody was like, oh, man, I saw these lantern batteries, and I saw this, and I saw that, and you didn't have this, and you didn't have that, man. How in the world were you ever going to go up against it? I said, I had to try.
Yeah. And speaking about, you know, going in alone and people saying that they're with you at first and then you're there by yourself, the guy on my team, Matt, he was a previous year's Colorado State champion and this year's Utah State champion. He's gone through that where people said like, oh, I'm going to go with you to this event, and then, you know, back down at the last minute. And, you know, he's making these long car trips with his wife, you know, God bless her, you know, to these places, you know, 10 and 11-hour drive so he could go play, you know, competitive clicks to get better. And that's one thing I give him props about. But in our conversations, he brought up, you know, just the frustration of sort of, you know, investing in people and then to keep going out to these big events and then them sort of like falling flat, and you start asking yourself like, should I still invest in these people even though they come up with excuses to run away or protect their ego or their pride, or even more to the fact of, you know, and I'll say this, you know, not necessarily with Matt's case or even with Will's case, but from things I've seen where people don't want to go out just because it's a challenge. You know, some people just like, well, I'm good here. I'm content with that. I don't need to go anywhere else as long as I'm good here. And they fail to realize that by doing that, those people that do go out and see more of the heroclix landscape, play against more diverse crowds, they eventually will overcome that person that's good. And then the ability to be, you know, a top player in a venue like that becomes harder and harder. You can't not travel and still be good at heroclix if other people in your venue are traveling. But anyway, I just wanted to iterate, you know, with that. But anything else, you know, you're talking about the development process, Will, like going out there.
Going out there, really, just going out there, being willing to go, even if it's just you. Another factor is taking the time to study what's out there, study the meta. You know, even if you're not going to play it, at least know what's out there. I've been reading about Quinjet for a while, and you know, when at the Super Q, I played a Quinjet team. Now, mind you, we had discussed it, you know, a little bit before I ran it. Because, you know, I only had a couple of weeks, you know, and I was like, well, what can I run that was working? Well, that's what's out there. I can either try to build something to go against it, or I can build something to go with it, you know. And so I think that's one of the things you have to look at. You have to look at the meta. You have to be able to see. You have to just watch it. You know, some people say, well, you have to see, you have to know where it's going. Well, not everybody's going to know where it's going because stuff's going to come out. I mean, I think when Felix, I don't know how many people, when they saw Felix Faust initially, I don't think a lot of people realized how stupid dumb he was going to be even after the erratas.
Yeah.
You know, But the fact that he messed up so much stuff in the general gameplay, and I don't care who you are, I don't know anybody that plays Felix Faust and doesn't sit there and go ahead and pop an aspirin and say, yeah, this is going to be one of those games. You know, because no matter how you feel about the Faust, he's going to be one of those games for you. And so you know, okay, well, Faust is out there. You know, like people going to Wizard World, people going to Origins, people going to Nationals, people going to Worlds. You know he's going to be out there somewhere. Somebody's going to play it. So you just know ahead of time he's going to be there. Now at ROC, he's not going to be there. You don't have to worry about him at ROC. Mm-hmm. Unless somebody cheats, and then they're just going to end up blowing the team out of the water anyway.
Yeah,
but
he's going to get insta kick from the tournament.
Yeah, just but watch the meta, see what's going on. Be on Realms, watch what's going on in the meta. It's okay to listen to some good podcasts, but I think one of the reasons why yours is really taking it to a different level is because you really you don't look at the meta as these are facts. You look at the meta with questions. And I think that's something you have to do if you're going to develop as a player. You have to look at the meta and ask questions about it. Okay, well, what's good right now? Like when Composite Superman was all the rage for a hot second. Okay, I could tell you that wasn't going to last too long. That was a momentary thing. It was good for a minute, but it wasn't going to last. It was a moment. Sometimes the meta shifts in and out of moments. Sometimes there's things in the meta that up until they leave are going to be dominant. Super Scroll being a case in point. The zombie team base itself up to a point, up till next month. Going to be a problem.
I'm waiting for the age of Monster X and Engineer. I'm waiting for it. When it comes, everyone's going to say it started on Starting Over podcast because Edward opened his mouth.
And see, you say that, and I'm thinking Metallo Engineer.
Well, Metallo's good too.
Okay.
If Metallo's good too, him with some sort of entity, I could see him being stupid as well.
So
considering I got one at Origins, I'm sort of happy. So
yeah, I don't have a Metallo yet, but he's on my list of things to get. Which is another key point. Buy the figures singly that you feel like you can play. One of the things you always talk about on the show is play style. How do you play? Are you more aggro? Are you more control based? Are you more kind of wait until these certain things go off, and then once they go off, like a person who plays, for example, the Rock of Eternity. There's certain points you're waiting on things to go off. Once those things go off, then you're going to start being able to go do all sorts of craziness. Okay? It's not an Instagram. Some people need a more of an Instagram type team that's going to go in. Okay, look, I'm going to, to quote Mike Tyson, everybody's got a plan that they get punched in the mouth. I want to punch somebody in the mouth as quick as I can.
I've seen teams like that.
I don't want to wait on you to develop, and if I go to punch you in the face and I don't succeed, then that's my coup de grace, and I'm done because you're going to wipe me out the next turn if I can't wipe you off by turn 2.
Yeah.
Just know how you play, and then buy the pieces that you need to make that happen for you. If there's certain pieces that you want, I would say get them on the market as well. In some cases, as quick as you can. I'm kind of waiting on Civil War. I don't see a whole lot of necessary super meta stuff in Civil War. But I do see a lot of stuff that I definitely want as a person who plays and enjoys the game.
I know Night Nurse and Punisher are going to be the things.
Oh, yeah.
Those two in particular, I don't think that they're going to drop below 20. I think just in particular Night Nurse for what she does. Now, I will say this, though. Depending on the price, and I'm really being honest here, depending on the price of the Nightwing ID card in the next few months, you might see there be some competitiveness for people's medic slot. Like the 11 attack is great, but paying 5 points for support over 20 points and then getting a perplex as well.
Right.
That's worth it. Plus, you won't break your theme team.
Right. Yeah. So yeah, that definitely is a thing. I mean, goodness, Nightwing. Yeah, like it's hilarious. I got a hold of a Green Arrow ID card right before I went into my Super Q, and it was hilarious because a buddy of mine was just like, I remember when he first got it, I was like, oh, Green Arrow. I immediately thought of Trinity War Gravity Feed because I have one. Like, I was like, hey, man, would you be interested in it? Nah, man, I'm going to keep it. Okay, that's cool. So I get ready to go to Super Q, and he comes up to me. He's like, here, man, just at some point tell me something for it, man. I'm never going to use it. As a matter of fact, he apologized for not trading it to me then because he's kind of one of those, and he actually did end up going, I think, to the second Super Q I went to. He actually went and competed, and we were able to talk kind of offline about a lot of things, that just the way things were going, shifts and things like that. He told me afterwards, he's like, man, I really appreciate you encouraging us to get in these. He said, because, if you hadn't gone through that first one alone, I don't know that I ever would have wanted to go to one. But the fact that you went through it by yourself, made me want to at least try it.
Yeah. And I know for my locals here, I would say this. They've helped me out, and at the same time, I also know when to chill on the meta stuff. And we had a guy here who, we were like, all right, we're gonna get ready for WizKids Open. In Colombia, we're gonna get ready for it. Get ready. That sort of thing. And then, we were working on teams, and he ended up coming up with a Phantom X team, and I was like, dude, that's a really good team. And, he questioned it, made another team using Faust, then sort of came back to the Phantom X team. I was like, yeah, this is a great team. And, I got 8th place in that tournament, and he got 2nd place. He got into the final round, and he lost to a listener of mine, Devin. And then also, if you noticed any of, like, the splash art stuff that's on the YouTube channel now, that's Devin's work. So shout out to Devin. So nice. he hooked me up. But yeah, so there's a point in encouraging and helping other people out. And sometimes the guys like, I don't think we feel like we're much competition to you. I was like, well, that's irrelevant. You all are getting better. And the main thing that it comes down to it for me is that I need people that are competent. I don't need people that are super meta. I can go online and play super meta people. Like, I got a Rolodex full of super meta people that if I want to play super meta people, I can play them.
Right.
But sometimes, like, you just need somebody there just to run paces in real life and not just move figures on a computer screen. That has its advantages too, of knowing like what to do. But I think also something that we've talked about previously, between us is when you start asking for things, people automatically are afraid. Like, what does this do? You want this. Why? It's broken, isn't it? It's like, how is it broken? Tell me. I'm going to demand double because it's broken.
Yeah.
Because you want it.
Yeah, I think that's like I think I played a Lori Lemur. We did a team night one night, and so we did, I think it was Lori Lemur. I did like 3 Lori Lemurs and like 6 of the mermaids, and then Aquaman from the Batman vs. Superman starter.
Mm-hmm.
And the reason that he was crucial was because he has that free barrier he can drop in water every turn.
Yeah.
And so, all of a sudden, my buddy is sitting there playing. He goes, oh, that's why you wanted these mermaids. You just wanted stuff to blow up and kill us like kamikaze people. And, I mean, I wouldn't say that is a super high meta team unless, especially without lanterns. Because, when you had Indigo, you could put Indigo lanterns on everybody and basically make you have to come within 4 squares to even target them. That kind of changes the scope a bit because, you have so many people outside of the range of 4 that could just pop them otherwise.
Or, Indigo battery not Indigo battery, Star Sapphire battery and, make them take Mystics.
On top of the explosion that's eventually going to occur.
Yeah.
But sometimes it's just for fun, and sometimes I have an idea in my head and I want to see if it works. And it may not be this crazy thing that's going to end up taking off and everybody's going to talk about for 6 months. But at least it's something I've tested out.
Yeah, and I know definitely like looking at for myself. It's easy, like, I know everybody, like, when I say, like, oh, it's a lab day, they're like, oh, my gosh, how are we going to get raked over the coals now? And I'm like, I don't know, like, I just wanted to test this out. And then they're like, no, but really, like, how am I going to die? Like, how are you going to kill me now? And so now I can't even tell people it's a lab day because they're not going to believe me, like, I don't know what this is fully capable of. And then if I do win, like, totally, like, if I just demolish people, folks will be like, you knew what this did. You knew what this did, didn't you, Dark Logos? You
I really
brought a plague and a blight to our land. Now, there was one, and I'll confess, there was one that I knew that was sort of bad that before I got there. I didn't know how bad it was because I think it was like a 500 or 600 point game. And I think I told you this, like I ran 3 Ant-Mans. I ran 3 Ant-Mans from the box set. Then I also ran 2 of those Ironmonger 2.0s. And
the exploding ants.
Yeah.
Yeah, I remember that.
Yeah, I thought, nah, man, it can't be as bad as folks said it is, and I had 2. So, I mean, like, you got to think about it. Like, I had 2 of those Ironmongers.
Yeah, well, the procking at that point is just dumb.
And so, the damage output was a little stupid for Suicide Bomber ants. And there was a game.
By the way, if you kill them, you get no points for them. So you're dying, and you get no points for killing them.
Yeah, which I'm sort of glad that that's the case because, like, I threw like 8 ants on that dude and on one game, and it was bad because the moment that he had all his guys together, he killed them. He had to kill one ant or else he was going to get poisoned to death. And he killed it and exploded and knocked all of them off their top click.
Oh, gosh.
It's so bad. It's so bad. But, again, I didn't know that it was going to be that strong. I knew it was going to do damage, but I thought people would like pulse wave it and, just run up on me and kill a bunch of Ant-Mans and jank like that. Oh, no, they couldn't because I had Turtle. I forgot. That's why. I had Turtle as well. So never mind. Forget what I said about that. You, too, can play 2 Ironmonger 2.0s, a bunch of Ant-Mans, and a Nick Fury.
Just not in a modern tournament.
Just not in a modern tournament, but you can. And if anybody wants to ask whose idea it was KJ's on my team. It was KJ's idea. It wasn't my idea. I have to shift the blame onto somebody else. It was KJ.
Now, the sad part will be my guys will listen to this and be like, that's where you've been getting all these ideas from.
Man, well, okay, in all honesty, and this isn't like plug Phoenix Nest, but it is plug Phoenix Nest. Like, that's one advantage of being on the team is that, for your first few months of development, your training dojo is your local, heroclix group. So we have you unleash the beast on them, which in all intents and purposes is necessary, but it also, people take notice during the metamorphosis. They're like, why are you doing this to us? Or I never thought that you would do something like that. KJ's statement to me, what his crew told me was the best. We don't know what you're going to play next week. Like Like you stop being predictable. And it's like, oh, he might actually bring out some other deadly thing. And you don't know what it is. And the thing I always like laugh when it starts happening is I tell people when I'm training them, here's what's going to happen. The first week, you're going to come out and you're going to, do okay. The following week, you're going to do a bit better. You're going to get a grasp on some things. The week after that, you're going to win. Then everybody's going to be like, yeah, he finally won. He's been doing better. Okay, the week after that, you're going to win again. Okay, and then folks are going to be like, wow, he won again. The week after that, you're most likely going to win again. This is when people start taking notice.
Right.
And then after that, they're going to start cloning your teams. And so as long as you are literally the next week playing the counter or, things that make what your previous team was weak against and still have a viable team, you can continue this cycle because you're 2 steps ahead of your opponents. Because not only are they're cloning what you're playing, not understanding what you're playing, but also you understand the following week you're going to bring what beat your last team.
Right.
And it causes the cycle of frustration. And I wouldn't say it's hilarious. What's interesting to me is that for a lot of people that I've taught, like no one that they've played against has caught on to that cycle of development that I have people go through. Like no one's like, oh, well, he played this. Well, that means that he's most likely going to play something different next week, because that's the whole point of growth is I can't just pound you into like, yeah, keep doing the same thing, win for win's sake.
Exactly. It's kind of the definition of insanity, trying to do the same thing to get different results.
Yeah.
At the same time, you can't continue to do the same thing expecting you can't. Somewhere along the way, somebody's going to develop something to go against what you're doing if you continue to do the same thing every week.
Yeah.
So, and it kind of reminds me of another story. Tell my buddy, shout out to Jason. When he listens to this, he'll know this is for him. This was back in the way back. I want to say this was probably a tournament right before Monsters and Mutations. Kind of give me a scope. We developed a team. I think he was going up to Houston to play. I had to work. I didn't get a chance to go that week. And he played, I believe it was a KC Green Lantern and not the Alpha class Sentinel, but the Sentinel that came out, the second version of the earlier Sentinel that came out. They did one in a plastic package, and then they did another one in a box. And it was just a regular Sentinel. So that was his team. It was a dynamic duo up to 700 points, I think. And so he brought that, and he just walked all over everybody that week. And so the next week, this guy, I showed up at the tournament. He was working. So he's like, okay, well, dude, just like I called you, you need to call me and let me know how it went. So, of course, I built a team to counter that team, not knowing that when I got to Houston, the 2 or 3 people that I was playing all cloned that team. Like 2 or 3 guys, they all made the same team he made the week before. And so they were all just like, oh, yeah, we got this team. It's unbeatable. It beat us last week. I said, unbeatable? Really? Interesting. And so we got ready to sit down. I sat down across the first one. I look over at the next table, and those 2 are playing the exact same team against each other. I was like, but they just cloned his team. And so I think it was Alan the Alien from Invincible. And I can't even remember what the other, it was Casey Red Robin with Stunning Blow.
Oh, gosh, that dude was so good.
And so literally parking a bush and just Stunning Blow, whatever. And so I hit the KC Green Lantern, because the whole point about that team was KC Green Lantern, I think the first click, because they were old school, one had to defend. And so he was giving the Sentinel a 20. And so basically the Sentinel had 20 defense, he had 20 defense. And so the goal was for the Sentinel to probably be the shooter, and then if worst case scenario came down, KC Green Lantern was clean up. Well, the thing about it was is that I basically wailed on these teams. I went through each one of them and just ran the gambit. And they were like, wait a minute, this team came and cleaned our clocks last week. How did you beat it? Because who do you think helped him build the team?
Okay. Here's a good example of that as well. When I first went to Gen Con to venture into the realm of, world championships, I ended up building a team with Wes on Phoenix Nest and Dan and Mace. And what ended up happening is it was the Welcome to the Legion Hydra Wolverine Red Lantern Poison, battery with Parallax and Phantom.
Oh, that's always cool.
Yeah. So back when that was legal and how it worked was legal. But what ended up happening is after, it went up on the realms and posted and people saw like, oh, here's this different quote unquote team. My Wes went to a tournament the following week of Origins, and we were talking. I helped him build a team, and he ended up encountering these guys bragging about this team that they made, and they're like, "Yeah, we found this great team. We worked it. Yeah, we got it. We know what we're doing. Blah 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 blah." And so, Wes is asking, like, so what's the team? And so Wes was like, oh, so what's this team? And he proceeds to tell, the guy proceeds to tell Wes what the team is. So he goes like,
basically your team.
Yeah, it's exactly my team. It's like, okay. So he goes in and plays these guys in 2 separate rounds and whoops them bad. And he's like, dude, like, you're a really good player. How did you beat our team? It's like you knew what was coming. And he's like, yeah. And Wes says, yeah, because I helped design that team. And their jaw dropped. Like, really? Like, you helped design that team? It's like, yeah, I know the guy that ran it.
And all of a sudden you sit there and you feel like Morgan Freeman is not narrating your life, and he's just like, and that's when they realized that the whole thing was messed up. And they knew they had found defeat at the hands of another who was involved in the process in a much greater way than they ever thought they could have been. That is the end of the story.
Yeah, it's one of those moments. So, I mean, straight cloning, like, again, I've given you 2 examples. I know some people are confused. It's like you initially say cloning is bad, cloning is good, according to Kevin Afruz. And then, then you give 2 stories of cloning is bad. The main thing I really want you all to, sort of take from it is understand what a team does and then work it. But don't blind copy. But also at the same time, if you're using another team as a template, don't just blind change to change for change's sake. Like, that's just as bad. You're setting yourself up for a different type of failure. I had a Quinjet team for Origins, and in all honesty, the one that I ran at States was built off of the premise that that Patrick built for Supercube before that. And I made some changes based off of things that I was concerned about. And those things didn't show up. But at the same time, the team that I made for Origins made account for a lot of things that I saw at States and things that I learned at States. And I made some really strong adjustments. And at the same time, in all honesty, there were points where I had to come back and say, you know what? Patrick was right on this, and this. Like, he was right. Because I play tested Patrick's lineup. And then I was like, I can't do this. I can't do that. I understand why this is there, but this needs to go. Then I'm going to put this, and this in because I need these utilities. So, yeah. Anyway, so, I went through all of the proper testing to make sure that what I was playing was actually good and knew why all the teams worked the way that they did. So, that's mostly it for today's show. Will, you got any shout outs?
I'm just going to shout out my local guys that play at the Hastings in Lake Jackson, even though we're not for sure what the situation is on that. We're just going to continue to play it till the roof caves in or whatever. If it's done, it's done. We'll figure it out from there. Also going to shout out a children's book I'm working on. Hopefully it'll drop tomorrow. Okay. Hero Needed. Be on Amazon.com, hopefully about tomorrow evening. So I'm venturing out into the land of doing something new, taking my talents and trying to put them out there to let them be breathed on and see what happens.
So you said it's a children's book. What type of children's book is it?
It's a children's book aimed primarily at young children. So I'm going to say probably between the grades of, say, grade first through maybe third or fourth grade. Its mainly subject matter is just about bullying, and kind of my main character's name is Pencil Ninja, and he's a sugar-powered robot boy. And so he basically goes in, helps a group of kids out being bullied by challenging a big bully to a football game. And, basically it's those four against the big bully four, and basically he helps them stand up to them. So that's the basic premise of the story.
Yeah. Okay, cool. So check that out on Amazon. I like to thank Will for coming on the show. Like, again, I said, like, he's a friend of mine. We've known each other for a while.
Thanks for having me on.
Shared lots of stories with each other over the years. And the guy that I sometimes throw tech at and send him out into the wild, and he brings me back awesome stories of things that occurred. So, all right, you can, that's it for today's show. You can follow me on Twitter at StartOverPod. It came from outer space and told me, man, there's a loud thud outside. I hope that was a firework and not someone falling from a building. You can check my random musings on the Twitter. You can email me at startingoverpodcast@gmail.com. That's startingoverpodcast@gmail.com. If you wish to opine, keep it piffy, keep it interesting, keep it awesome, baby.
Awesome, baby.
Yeah. Tell me, what do you think of Civil War and stuff that's going on? Also, everybody that emailed me before Origins, email me again. I did have a show up and ready about scripting because someone emailed me about that, but then when I came back, I had computer issues, and then I lost the whole entire episode. So, yeah, this hasn't been the bestest of weeks when it came to podcasting. You can also check out the link below to buy a Starting Over Podcast T-shirt or a Phoenix Nest T-shirt if you want to, support the team. Also, I'm opening back up the $15 an hour mentoring sessions. So if you're like, hey, man, I want to get better at the heroclix.
That's awesome stuff.
Yeah, hit me up. Will can tell you, it's worth it. He's talked to me enough as a friend to know, like, this is worth it. And we do an assessment, make sure that you find out where your skill level's at, what type of player you are, things that you want to work on. Also, I have $5 games. If you just want to, like, hey, I don't have anybody to really play test serious meta with, I want to play test a serious game against Dark Logos, $5 games. So pretty much just play you, no coaching, and we'll do a proper hour play test of a game. Also, for those people that have noticed, I'm playing around with streaming. So you're going to see some streaming videos up. I don't know how they're going to shake out. So I'm messing with them. So if you see me live stream, pop on, say, hey, I don't know if I want to do the whole streaming Saturdays thing because most of the time I'm helping my dad out right now after he got in a car accident, so I'm driving him around. Or streaming Sundays because Sundays is nephew time and also usually recording the show time. So I don't know what it's going to be, but I'll figure something out. I might announce it through Twitter, or I just might just say like, hey, I'm going to be streaming, this day or whatever. But it's mainly just me talking to you, the listeners, while I play games on PS4. So there's nothing real deep about it, and me commenting about the games. That's it. So tell me if this is like, yay, good idea, bad idea, definitely with the streaming. It's something that I'm experimenting with.
Would you consider maybe streaming some of your local games or some of your venues?
That's a little bit tougher because I don't have internet down in the basement. Well, we do install Wi-Fi, but I don't want to have to bring a rig.
Gotcha.
That's my problem. I just don't want to bring a rig every week. And then also, folks will see me rage sometimes. Not like rage like at a person, but like...
Or rage and quit the game.
Or rage quit, but be like crit miss in the last action and then watch me shout and go like, ah! And yeah, people don't want to see that. All right, that's it for today's show. Thank you for listening. And remember, we all have to start over sometime. Lead out. 1, 2, 3.